guys, welcome to the Merge. I'm so excited for today's guest. If you guys have never met Stacey, you're in for a treat. But if this is your very first time watching and you don't know what the Merge is basically a platform. It's a platform for us to get like-minded people, successful people from different walks of life. And we're just agents of change in our societies, and we want to see change. And today I have one of my heroes. This is you guys are going to see over the next few weeks, we have a bunch of my heroes on who she saw me grow up from a young man into a grown man. And I'm just so excited to have you on today, Stacey.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. That's very generous of you. So first of all, thank you. You said the Merge, which today is so very important. And then you said change agents, and I'll talk about why those words is so imperative to the world and us as individuals right now, because it has everything to do blending in with our company, which we'll talk about later, Solve the Silence. That's what we are, change agents. So thank you. And yes, we've known each other 15 years.
Yeah.
I knew you before you were married. I knew you when, we've been through the mud together. We've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly, If they don't know, you and I was with the Miami Heat for 10 years. And then I had the pleasure of working directly with you in your young career in, not basketball, because you've always been a basketball player, but just, in leadership. And I'm honored, I adore you. I'm so proud of you and Susie. You've got this beautiful baby Kay. Yeah. I remember when you and Susie literally were boyfriend and girlfriend, and I kept pushing you all. Geo, when are you going to get married? Geo, when are you going to have? And Susie and I both were waiting, and then to look at God and look at your lives right now, it's such a blessing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you
and
so
all
much.
that you're doing. And you got me. It doesn't matter how far our distance, New York to Florida. I got you. I got you for life. And I'm very, very proud of this platform. I'm just turning my phone off because it will ring.
It's all good.
And, everything that you're doing, man.
And you know what? It means a lot. There's certain, it's always good to hear compliments about yourself. You know what I mean? But it means so much more coming from you, because you're someone that the reason I'm doing what I am today, I don't think it would have happened if it wasn't for you. So I'm gonna go back in time, right? So like you said, we've known each other for about 15 years.
Yeah.
We started working together about 10 years ago, and those were some of the best times. Those 4 years were amazing. We were stressed up to our eyeballs because, the big three and everything that was going on back then. But it was such a beautiful time that I wish I would have lived in the moment a little bit more and enjoyed it, because it was such a day-to-day grind. And you remember that time.
Yes, I do.
But you're the person that I've learned the most from professionally. I learned verbal judo from you. You remember that?
I remember.
Yeah, verbal judo. And I used to be afraid of speaking in front of people.
Yes, you were.
You remember? So for those of you that know me now, you're like, there's no way. But back then, we used to train over 4,000 employees, part-time employees, and you kind of pushed me, and I was not willing to do it, but you pushed me to speak to these large crowds and train people on how to become better employees. And you giving me that push has allowed me to have this platform that I have today. So I want to thank you for that.
That is powerful. I want to thank you. So I know your listeners, most of them know there's no way Geo was afraid. I have so many, as we're talking tonight, and I know we talked for a while the other day. I literally started reflecting on, your journey of growth and leadership. For me, as a leader, it wasn't about being your boss. It was about, I love Geo, I love his family. There was so much in you, Geo, that I knew that you needed to be on the front line. You didn't know that at the time. And we have gone at it, like when you have flat out told me, I can't do that. And I was like, no, you can and you will. And I'm so glad that you trusted me enough, because at the end of the day, towards the end of your journey, the amount of people that had so much love and respect for your leadership, because that was something designed specifically for you in your growth and your development. You know, I'm always talking about what is a leader to people, and how do you how do you incorporate that into the core of who you are. And Geo, first of all, you and Calixte, your
That's my
birthday,
guy.
you guys saved me so many times, because you literally you took the instruction and you ran with it. You really need to sit back one day and think about all of those staff members that you have impacted, who today love you and adore you.
That's a crazy thing too, because I recall, so not this season, but last NBA season, I actually decided to become a season ticket holder.
Wow.
And when I went to the games, it was like, you know, when you see people that they act like they seen a ghost.
You were like Obama. I know that, because you could walk through the American Airlines Arena today and be treated like royalty because of the blood, the sweat, and the tears that we physically have in that building. People don't understand, you know, especially we come from a guest services world, right? So people don't understand. They think the door's open and everything's all good. They don't understand the prep behind it. You know, every experience has its own story. The times that we would get cussed out, you know, the times that people were just really disrespectful in our faces, and we had to walk with grace.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a way of saying it.
Really, and that's what builds you, man. So yeah, we could go on and on about that. That was amazing. I one last thing, I remember you, when you I said, I just need you to be the supervisor, and I need you to, you have to do this. And you were completely against it. Like, and you were more worried, Geo, about what everybody else was going to think. Well, why Geo? So my thing was, well, why not? You know, you too can be a Geo one day. And that, I'm just really proud of you.
Oh man, that means so much. It really does.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked a little bit about my story, but so a lot of people that know you don't know the full story of Stacey McCoy. So whatever you feel comfortable sharing, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Wow, that's good. Yeah, a lot of people, I know a lot of people. Matter of fact, Brian's my son, and we'll talk about him later. He says, Mom, you know so many people. I said, no, a lot of people know me. They think they know me. You know, yeah, I have a really, really deep Rolodex, but that doesn't define, you know, me. It is 26 years in sports and entertainment, which is why I've been able to develop and hold true to these very special relationships that I've had with friends throughout the years. But me, Stacey, I'll be quick. I'll tell you a short long story short. So I am Stacey McCoy, Stacey Brown with an E. That's my maiden name, McCoy. And I am the third child of 4. As you know, and I mean, my brother passed away 5 years ago. He was the core of my being. So it's, you know, something we're still, every day I struggle with. He died tragically from a motorcycle accident. The night before he passed, he was at my house. It was Halloween. He had bought a new motorcycle. He was geared up, protected, the whole 9. I went to work the next day, Sunday at Barclays, went to play hockey. I got a call, your brother's in the hospital. Your brother had an accident. And I thought, and I'm going to get back to who I am. This is important. And and when I called the hospital, they were like, oh, well, we're doing our best. And I thought, you're doing your best? What do you mean you're doing your best? And it was just horrible. He passed by the time we got to the hospital. It was a very bad, tragic accident. To this day, we just don't know. He hit a pole. And this is someone who was very experienced with the bike. no drugs, no alcohol, no none of that involved. And he just hit a pole, and he flipped over, and he died. So, but me, I say that because the love that we shared was amazing. So me, first, I'm about love. I'm born and raised in St. Albans, Queens. I'm a Queens girl.
Queens.
Queens in the house. I told you I'm number 3 girl of 4. I like to say 3's a charm of my position with my siblings and I. My father was he's deceased now, but retired New York City sergeant, a very honorable one. And my grandfather also a New York City homicide detective for many years. They were both the first father and son African-American police team in the same in the same precinct. So that history runs really deep in my family. A house of law enforcement, which has sometimes been a conflict. And my mom was this amazing, beautiful soul who also passed 16 years ago, who she was a licensed clinical social worker. And she also was in charge of methadone clinics in New York City and so on and so forth. Just a humble, beautiful woman. And, you know, I have one child, Brian. He's 28 years old now.
That's my guy right there.
That's my guy. He's my hero. And I've been in sports and entertainment. I started very, very young. I'll tell you a secret. My first job was with Relativity Records before Fat Joe was actually Fat Joe.
No way.
He was just Joe. That was my first job in the industry. My second job, I lied my way into it. It was back when there was no social media. We had to use the yellow pages, and literally we used the newspaper to find work.
Oh,
so all of this stuff is new. And I had told myself, I went to BMTC college, and I told for a little while, then I told myself I want to work for a radio station. Well, lo and behold, there was WBLS. So WBLS was the #1 station. I called, this is a true story. I called, and a young lady picked up at WBLS, and I said, hi, I have an interview scheduled, which I didn't. And I forgot what department. Geo, my hand to God, do you know? She said, hold on. I talked to a woman named Margaret Pusey. This is 30 years ago. And she scheduled an appointment for the attorney, Oliver Sutton. I went in and I got the job. I didn't have an appointment. I happened to have a spot. It's crazy. And I worked at the Apollo Theater for 8 years after that.
The Apollo Theater.
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
I never talked about it. I traveled the states for them. I started out as their executive assistant to the attorney. And as opportunities came, I then was the talent coordinator for Showtime at the Apollo for many years. So I would go city to city with my colleague, and I was really young, and we would find talent all over the world to come and perform at the Apollo Theater. And that's when, you might be too young, but when Sinbad was the host.
Of course I know Sinbad.
Yeah.
Come on now. I love Sinbad.
Sam and Sims. And then from there, just, you know, my passion for the industry just started growing. And I knew I had a knack for people. So somehow I got married to the guest services environment.
Yeah.
Hence leading me to different positions. And then, you know, the Miami Heat, which I said, I went back to school at Miami-Dade, and I said, I'll do this part-time, literally. Then after 2 events, TQ said, can you be the coordinator? I was like, nope.
We need you on board.
Yeah. And literally, I got thrown into the lion's den, and I kind of had to wean my way to figure out, you know, what this whole thing was about. And now I'm the senior director of guest services at Barclays Center and Nassau Coliseum. I have 2 full-time management teams. Let me rephrase that. I have 2 African-American full-time managers.
Come on.
And I have 800 part-time staff who I love and adore sometimes. So yeah, that's it. I have been asked and have gone to Austin, Texas to develop and initiate a customer service training program for the F1 races,
Oh, wow.
which was amazing. And today it's known as RISE, Reaching Impressive Service Expectations. And then I have my own stuff that I'm doing outside. So
yeah, we'll get into that now. Actually.
basically, I'm just a girl from Queens trying to impact the world and do my part in my service the best way that I can.
And let me tell you, you mentioned in the beginning about your parents and the bloodline that you guys come from. I've met a lot of people in your family, and usually you're like, oh, there's one that's like a bad apple you might not get along with. I love everybody that I've met from your family.
Oh my God, I do too. Thank you. I'm really happy you said that. We thrive on love. A lot of people say it. I'm very blessed. We are very blessed. That's all we do. I've been fortunate. I've talked to especially youth in our program. A lot of people, they're just missing love, basic love. Yeah. Like, I love you. And literally, that's an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people because they don't know what that looks like. And, we could talk about it. Yeah. But I have to say, my family, that's what we are. That's who we are. That's the core of why we are able to understand what the missing piece for some people are. I'm not no expert on it, and love personally, I was married and then divorced. So, there's a lot of ups and downs with it, but at the end of the day, the greatest of these is love.
Yes. Amen. Speaking about love, and you and I had a very, very long conversation the other day. And one thing that we were so passionate about is right now, and it's very relevant to what's going on today, is racism. We talked about, I think, for like an hour, and the main topic was how now it's like the perfect time for us to make a stand to end these social injustices. I would love to know, what are you currently doing to kind of like help in this situation, but how can others that are watching be a part of this and just help and make a difference in our society?
Wow. Well, that's a great question, G. Wow. So every time I talk about this, which I'm sure we all have for the past 13 plus weeks, and when you really think about it, for the past 100-something years, every day I reflect on things that I am seeing on social media, conversations I'm having, Zoom calls through corporately for work, because we're still working from home, thank God, and just friends and neighbors also. So I have been, like many people, through a plethora of some really disturbing emotions, right? I like to always say, Stacey, keep yourself in check. Yes. Because that's what leaders do. But as humans, you're human. You have a pulse. So let me first talk about the emotions. This, for me, this revolution for me has been, like others, disgusting, painful, gritty, sad, very sad, particularly when I see the images all over social media. You're inundated with it, right? Yeah. And all the ugly things, I'm feeling them because I am Stacey McCoy, a Black woman, a very proud Black woman. And I stand for equality, I stand for justice, I stand for peace. So all of those emotions first come into play, right? And every time I think I can do something that's positive, I see something else and I'm pissed off again because I'm like, really? Like this, like I know that there's still so much hatred out here. A lot, right? Of it, yeah. But it's so good that people are being exposed in manners that they didn't think they would. But the second part of me, so all of those horrible emotions, those things where I'm angry, I want to go outside and I'm Black power and I'm this, that, and the other thing. And I'm disgusted. But the other part of me, I'm so proud. And I'm literally, it's not surreal. I told Brian, it's not surreal, it's real.
Yeah.
I'm proud, I'm honored, I'm empowered internally to take what I'm seeing and use the platforms that we have and the organizations that we are connected with to lend our voices or our services at hand. So I too go through, both all types of emotions, as we all should.
Yes.
Right? Because we're human. As far as what we're doing, I can tell you, last year we developed Solve the Silence.
Yes, I love that.
Join the crusade. It's our company. It's called Solve the Silence, Stop the Violence. This company was developed because out of a pursuit of personal experiences, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come from a family of love. I also come from a family of nonviolent household. Point blank, period. We didn't see that inside. 14 years ago, I was in my 30s. I was the victim of an attempted murder. I dated someone in Florida for literally less than almost 8 months. 4 to 5 months into the relationship, I saw the signs.
Yeah. I
immediately took action to disengage myself with this person. And what I know now, the trauma and the dysfunction of his life, I did everything I could to get out of it, because I was determined at the time that I was not going to be one of those chicks who hung around to see what could happen. Unfortunately, the crazy in him, I had visited New York, my dad's 70th birthday. I came back home. I was living in an apartment by myself. My son was with his father at the time in Deltona. He came home with me just for a few days before he went back to his dad's. I was going to take a final exam at Miami-Dade College. I said, Brian, and remember, I had gotten restraining orders. I was very careful. Boarded up my apartment. That morning, I was expecting 2 cell phones, one for me, one for Brian. And Federal Express was to come. Geo, this was 8 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
There was a knock at my door. The night before, I was in a gated community, and the lock up front was broke. Beautiful gated community, but it was broke. That I did not know. I found out later this guy, my ex, was following me, stalking me day and night. I had no idea. Knock at the door. I saw a dark hat. I said, who? I'm thinking it's the Federal Express guy, because I was already paranoid that I didn't know what was going on. He pushed through my apartment and he said, I'm going to murder you for leaving me. I believed him.
Wow.
I remember the scent was as if he was in the bushes hiding all night. I screamed, oh my God, my son is here. He didn't know my son that well because they didn't have a relationship. As he walked to the back, I had 2 choices, Geo. I had a cutlery set in my kitchen. Grab that, and I'm a scary kind of violent person. Grab that, but I knew that if I did, he was stronger than me. He could probably use that on me. So instead of grabbing the knife, I literally shot out the door. I knew he wasn't there for my son. I knew he was there for me. He went to the back to check to see if I was lying. As he did that, I ran out of the complex, all the way 3 buildings down, running for my life, screaming for my life. I noticed him behind me. By the time I got in front of our property management building, big old glass building, I fell on a bush. Before I fell, he was right on top of me. This man beat me until my teeth came out my mouth. I fought until I could not fight anymore. I had no more fight. He was very large, very much bigger than me. Out of nowhere, I will tell you this story that today, in my mind, I feel like I fought for 15 minutes straight. My son says, Mom, you did not. It was 4 to 5 minutes, which is still a long time.
Yeah.
That's the trauma that I had beating me in my face, blood everywhere. And out of nowhere came this 14-year-old who was 85 pounds at the time. And Brian, somehow the superhero came out of him, literally grabbed him and got him off of his mom, and he ran away, the guy. In the meanwhile, my son, and I'm screaming, am I dead? Am I dead? In the meanwhile, the people in the property management behind the glass doors shut the doors, and my neighbors came out and did nothing. Absolutely nothing. My son had 2 cell phones taking pictures. Mom, don't move. I'm screaming. I thought I was dying. When I got to the hospital, my sister and my brother-in-law, I was unrecognizable. When I tell you my son saved my life, and he's my living hero, whoa. So Solve the Silence was, so then I went into hiding because they didn't find him. 9 days later, my father and the police force came down, and they were like, domestic violence. No, this isn't domestic violence. I literally was breaking up with the guy. It hadn't anything to do with domestic violence, although it technically was. And I was angry because there were very limited services for victims of domestic violence. So they, of course, had the victims unit and, services, very small pockets of long-term services. Because my family, we're very well connected all over. So Brian and I were able to, for 2 years, Geo, I went to psychotherapy. Brian went to therapy. It was probably the darkest moments in my life. This guy served only 9 years in prison. The prosecutors tried to give him 30. We spent 3 years in Miami-Dade County court systems, back and forth, back and forth. It was while I was leading 4,000 people at the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And only you and a very few people were, nobody else knew. So here I am going to therapy. I'm hurting. My level of trust for anything was insane. And I had to get out there and I had to push it through. And I had to keep going.
You know what's to me, and this is like the second or third time I've heard this story. What's crazy to me, Stacey, is that if you're someone from the outside looking in, you would never know the pain that you had to have gone through in that season. And that's a testament to the quality of person that you are. It's a testament to, I think, also your family. But more so than anything else, that it's the faith that you have in God. Because usually in a scenario like this, you see the broken pieces and the remnants of people after that. But you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps. You didn't make any excuses. You have been very successful in this industry for many years. You're a great mother. You have a great son that I love so much. And I want you to tell us, like, because there's people that are probably still dealing with this today. Like, how can we get connected? How can we support Solve the Silence as we bring this down for a landing? How can we help people that are in this situation?
So Solve the Silence, it literally, wow, give me a minute, because I just had, wow. We're healing for hope and continuous services for victims of any kind of violence. Doesn't matter. And I need to read something. We do domestic violence, gun violence, mental health violence, child labor violence, economic violence. There is such thing. I learned that in my studies. There's sexual abuse violence, bully violence in the schools, emotional violence, there's LGBTQ violence, cultural, and obviously right now, racial violence. We do verbal violence, support spiritual violence, and also financial abuse. those are the pockets of violence that we solve the silence, that we focus on. You know, I had a dream, and that's how we came up with the name and started incorporating and all of this. And I was like, what the hell can we do? And I was like, I'm so tired, Brian. I said, somebody's got to solve this silence. And hence was the company. And it just flowed. We right now, well, due to COVID, before this, in addition to our daily work, we literally have been we are vendors with New York City Public Schools, and we go in all of the high schools throughout the year, and we give our workshops, and we campaign because we're trying to get on a global crusade. We sit in classrooms with administrators, principals, superintendents, and then we do pockets of classrooms for the youth, because there's a lot of violence in school. The only services they have is one mediation: the bully, the bully's parent, and the victim. Right. They say, we're sorry, and then they go on their merry way. So for us at Solve the Silence, we are the gate. We have partnered with like-minded organizations, not the huge ones, the ACLUs and ACPs and victim services. We literally partner with domestic violence shelters, LGBT counselors. We partner with mental health psychologists. We partner with chaplains. So all of those folks are within our network, and we provide those services free of charge in some cases. We do have a membership. Yes, sir.
No, so we provide. I was just gonna say, I want our organization to partner up with yours. So I'm just saying it here. We're gonna partner up with you guys at some capacity.
I got you. I would be honored to, particularly with you and what Susie's doing with the Women for Sex Trafficking. It's amazing. So yeah, and so we take the smaller components of these agencies, and we start partnering with them so that they could receive services for anyone within our network, which would be the victims. Point in case, we have a domestic violence leader who he runs all of the domestic violence shelters in Queens, New York. Mostly the beds and the spaces in the housing is full. So what we do, he reserves a small amount in case we have someone who comes up and they need to get out of that space right then, right now. You know, a lot of women, a lot of men, LGBT community, they stay because they don't have hope to find an outlet that would help them long-term. So I like to say I'm the long-term guru, because I know what your situation is today, but I promise you, if you link up with agencies like ours and others, we want to see your success 5 years from now. Yes. We want you to have hope for, you know, what's going on back then. A lot of people don't know. For me, prayer has brought me through, and my relationship with God is really why today I can sit and smile. So, you know, that's what we do. It's obviously a lot more intricate, but that's the core. We pick up the victim. We want to talk to, not, you know, unfortunately, when you have situations like George Floyd, there is no more George Floyd right here. But even the families are victims. So we try to incorporate services for those families now. Now, let me just say, we are still growing. We developed last year, but the connections and God's intervention, we've been blessed lately, particularly during COVID, to have these partners. Because Geo, what's going to happen after all of this settles, which it'll never settle, but when things get back to whatever normal looks like, people are going to need resources to go to. And we just want to be a champion of resource.
And especially now, because people are spending so much more time at home than usual, I know that numbers have been spiking. So can you provide us with like maybe an email, a social media account that we can refer to?
Yeah, we're new. So, you know, our followers are small, but that's okay, because we're getting ready to go global based on the information that we just finished. We've been on Zoom calls all week with partners. Our website is www.solve, S-O-L-V-E, silence.org. And our handles are @SolveTheSilence, just @SolveTheSilence.
Okay.
And I will also send, you know, that information for you too. Yeah, and we're coming for you. We're coming because your platform is huge. Man.
Stacey, first off, I want to say thank you so much for being on. Like, you have blessed me, and I know whoever's going to watch this is also going to be blessed. Your story is just amazing. Every time I hear it, my eyes, I just tear up because I love you so much, and the fact that you've gone through that and you've overcome. You're a survivor. You're a champion. You are a Wonder Woman. I love you. You have a special place in my heart, and I thank you so much for joining us today.
I love you back. I love you back.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. This was a beautiful episode. Stacey, we got to have you back soon. We definitely got to do this again.
Thank you. And I want to tell everybody to go support Geo, go support his movement. I got your back for life. I thank you. You know, I'm a phone call away. That's it. And I can't wait to get to Florida and see Baby K.
Yeah, you know this.
Give all the family my love.
Definitely. Same to you. Love you.
Thanks so much, G. Bye-bye.